Hello, I'm back with another part of my Fairy Traveler's Notebook series, and in this one I want to talk about covers. The actual notebook itself, not the inserts that go into it, because I ordered mine from Pell Studios. It is a leather journal, and that is not always a possibility for some, and you might want something that is not leather anyway. So I want to explore some possibilities of covers you can make, and of course this is the personal size. So it's also the wide, meaning instead of being really narrow and only holding a couple inserts, it's wider and can hold many inserts. So I'm using these measurements for this cover to work on making some other ones. So this is one of the papers or cardstock from the collection, and it is the Graphic 45 Fairy Dust collection. So the measurements I'm using are 10.5 inches by 7.25 inches. And so that will give us enough for a front, a back, and a nice wide spine. Although we're not going to be creasing it, it's just going to be a flexible spine like the leather one. Now I do want to do some Mod Podge, but still, even though I Mod Podge front and back, it will make it nice and sturdy, meaning it won't tear and it will hold up under trial, but it'll still be rather thin and flimsy. So I would like to adhere this to something else. And so I was thinking of some fun foam and Mod Podging it to that, and then it will give me just about the right weight that I'm looking for. So I don't have the colors I'm really looking for, but this nice turquoise one will be okay. Let's get this mixed up here. And I have my craft mat covered. Let's turn this over because this is going to be the outside, so I need this to be the inside. We won't be able to see this because it will be on the fun foam here, craft foam. Okay, now I have this all over my mat here, so I'm going to slide this a little bit to the right and bring this in and flip this over onto it. I left my foam larger than the paper on purpose. Now I'm going to smush it from the inside out like this and just keep going around for a while. Boy, I really got that on there crooked. It's okay. And I do use the scraps of my foam because I use them when I do paperclip art. These are the pieces of foam that I will be using to adhere a front and back to a paperclip. This is the sandwich method I have, and I will give you the link to that down below. And by sandwich, I mean that when you have a paperclip and it's bulky and you have it between two layers of paper, it just creates too much bulk there, and you could see the bumpiness of the paper clip. So what I do is I sandwich foam in between the front and back of the paper clips. So back to this project, it's doing really well now. I wanted to make sure that all the ends were sealed up. And when I'm going around, if I see that they're not, I would just kind of lift that up a little bit and shove my brush under there gently, not shove. I would place it under there and get a little extra in there, but it seems like I've got a really good seal most of the places. Here's one I can see, just because I bent that backwards. Okay, I'll probably let this dry a good 20 minutes. And then what I'll do then is I will put a coat of Mod Podge over it, let that dry, and then we'll go from there. I think I may do 2 coats on top to make sure I have a really, really good seal. And I'm going to go rinse this off in the meantime. Okay, that's been a good 20 minutes, more like 30. So I'm just going to coat the surface of this now. Again, working from the center out. And that's going to need to dry itself a good 20 minutes. Now I have used the foam brushes before instead of a brush, and I still get streaky brush marks, so I'm okay with just using a brush. Another thing is I could add another dimension to this by using some of the cut-aparts from the collection. You know, a strip right around here, I could add one of the cut apart cards. You know, it's all up to you what you want to do on your cover. So like you could do these, but I would prefer for myself to have a vertical one, you know, card this way. I really like the fairies, so I don't want to cover them up too much. But we could make up for that and make it interesting by putting charms and whatnot on it. Now you will notice also that I got a good amount of Mod Podge on the foam. I'm not concerned because I can still use that on my paper clips. It's not going to interfere with anything. And I still am thinking I may Mod Podge the foam when I flip it over. So not sure, but off camera I will give this a second coat on the top of this paper and then we'll proceed. Okay, that's dry. I've got 2 coats on the top here. I'm just going to trim the excess foam off. All right, another thing I want to do is I want to round my corners, and I'm not sure whether I want the 1/2 inch or the 1/4 inch, so I'm just looking. I think I'll do the 1/4 inch here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to seal the edges here with a little extra coat of the Mod Podge, and I'm thinking, it's not necessary, but I'm thinking I'm going to podge the back too. I love the strength that this has with that foam there, and it feels really nice. But like I said, I think that I want to do this anyway. I like the feel of the Mod Podge here. I want to seal this foam, so let's go for it. Okay, this is completely dry, and what I did while I had it off camera, I went ahead and did the Mod Podge over the ends by doing it like this, and then catching all the ridges on both sides, and then I let it air dry. So this is dry, top and bottom. I have 1 coat here and 2 coats here of Mod Podge. So what I did was make a piece of paper the same size as my cover here, and this is what I like to do. It's a lot easier than drawing all over my cover. So I folded it in half and in half to find the exact center, and that's going to be my band, the hole for the band that goes around the middle. And then for the 3 holes up here, I have, I drew a line 3/8 of an inch in from the end. I drew a dot right in the center where it connected with the center, and then I drew a dot 3/4 out and 3/4 of an inch out. So again, 3/8 of an inch in, I drew a line, and then I drew a dot on where it met in the center, and then 3/4 of an inch this way and 3/4 of an inch this way. So I'm going to mark that on my project. I think I'll do it on the back because it's easier to see it, or I could punch holes in here and then draw a hole through it. Let's see if the hole punching works, and just want to make sure that I can see this from the other side. I'm sure I can. That would be really great. I will punch the hole bigger though once I get the paper off the top. Again, that's just to help me find out where to do my placement. Okay, so you can see I have these holes, but that's not going to be big enough to thread elastic through, so I have the Crocodile Big Bite set at 1/8 of an inch, and I am going to go through and punch these holes. Okay, now I want to switch this to eyelet setting, and I have them set for the, is it C and 3 for this, for the little eyelets, and I have some picked out here. I have decided to go with the ones that would blend in better with the color instead of being a contrast. It's kind of this peachy color here. Okay, so now I need to put the elastics in, and I have white obviously, but I also have this lavender, which would be pretty. It's got some lavender in the dress, so let's go ahead and use this one. Now, one thing I like to do too is I coat the ends of these with like glossy accents or some kind of fray check or something so they don't get all frayed. Now to do the elastic that goes in this one, and I know that it needs to be able to wrap around the whole thing snugly and have enough to tie in a knot. So let's try that. Now, I showed in one of my videos about the using of these little laminated images as a charm on the front here, and I think I'm going to do that. This is also from the collection. I just think that's adorable. So this needs to go down the hole. Has to go all the way around and down the same hole. So we gotta go back in that same hole here. So when we have this, there. Okay, so that is the cover that holds the inserts for the fairy journal that you can make, and without having to buy leather or any specific product like that. And you can use whatever papers you want. This is just using the fairy one. And don't forget, this little loop here can also be used as a pen loop for you if you want to hold a pen there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It has a great feel to it. And all you have to do is take a notebook, open it up, and slide it through the insert just like that. And you can hold 4 notebooks plus more, which will show you how to get more in there later. That is the Fairy Journal Notebook made with cardstock and foam. Fun foam. Thank you for watching.